Hi everyone. Thanks for your patience. I should have had announcements up more, but I'm just going to continue to blame being sick last week. So welcome again, welcome back, or welcome from me to English 300. And for some of you, this is actually early because I still have a few people trickling in who added the class late last week. So this message, I've got a lot of messages for you all, and I don't want to, for it to be TL semicolon DR, too long didn't read. So this announcement is going to focus on things that I think you're most interested in, and then you'll probably see a handful of more announcements, either video or written, the rest of the week. So that being said, the most important thing, stop stressing about deadlines. Life happens. I was sick last week, not around. Guess what? I'm supposed to have office hours today. I woke up and my 135-pound St. Bernard is limping. Guess what time I could get into the vet? Same time as office hours. Don't worry, life happens. I understand that. Especially the first week of classes because you're figuring everything out, you're moving in and out of classes, the technology doesn't work, yada, yada, yada. So don't stress. This Saturday is due date 3. Please just try to make sure you have everything from due date 1, due date 2, and due date 3 done by due date 3. And if you have already received grades for stuff for due date 1 and due date 2, if they were not full points, by all means, revise and resubmit. Uh, if um, if you didn't get something done, do it. Don't skip it. Make sure you get the points. And I will say, I think it's tomorrow, 24th. Is the opt-out day for the bookstore. Don't opt out. You need the digital materials. Hopefully you've begun to realize that. You'll be using the digital textbook materials heavily between now and spring break. And then after spring break, we'll continue to use the Power of Process application. That's the one where you read on top of the PDFs. You'll be even using some of that with your own writing. So um, if you choose to opt out, and that means you don't have access to the textbook material, you don't have access to those applications and doing all those activities, that's a lot of the homework points. A lot of the homework points. Anyways, that's just the quick blurb. Don't opt out. But don't stress, get caught up. So you have through due date 3 to get caught up with everything or to revise and resubmit everything up to that point. After that, you will have a few different points in the course to get caught up on things. So for example, I will probably give you the week of spring break and the week after spring break to do the next massive catch up or revise and resubmit mode, that kind of stuff. So that doesn't mean don't do things. That just means if life happens, if you get sick, if you wake up and your dog is limping, or your kitty is hurt, or your child, or your parent, or work pulled something on you, I know this happens. I know it happens. Um, but do keep me in the loop if need be. Email me. Okay, so I'm going to stop looking at you. I'm going to shrink my picture and look at the screen and talk through stuff that I think you will care about um, over this next week. So we're in the course, going to content. You'll notice there's a bunch more due dates posted. Quickly remind you of some things. Please remember there is more than one activity for each due date. Actually, you have the most activities for due date 9, or due date 1. You have 9 homeworks. I don't think you'll ever have one that's that long again. So due date 1, do all those things. Due date 2, same thing. Make sure you scroll down and get them all. I do remind you the last 2 activities listed on due date 2, you don't have to do both of them. You should only do one based on your last name. But you might want to watch each cartoon. Heck, you might even want to go read some of your classmates' work. So let's talk about due date 3. That's what's due this week. Hopefully at this point you have figured out that for every time you're asked to read a chapter in the textbook, you can, especially if you've studied film before, or if you consider yourself a film aficionado, by all means feel free to take the quiz first. If you get 85% of it correct, you can consider yourself done. You don't need to read the book. Um, if you have never studied film before, I suggest you just skip down and read the book, the digital book. So we're clicking out, la la la, close those. It looks like this for me because I'm the instructor. Okay, so Just remember the bright yellowed highlighted areas are, ooh, I left it like this. Let's go back to read. Um, the bright yellow areas are what the text thinks is important. If content like this that's on the page is shaded out, all you have to do is click on it to read it. What I find, so I'm going to click on this one where we got some. So notice you can bounce around on the left. You can move to next section down here. So this, this is all shaded out. It's probably because it's introduction material. But I'm going to say a lot of the stuff that's not highlighted. Why is stuff? There we go, highlighted. A lot of the stuff that's not highlighted is examples, and those examples are what help you learn. So just my 2 cents. But the main thing I want to remind you is to get credit for doing this. You not only have to read the entire, work your way through and read the chapter, but if you're in here long enough, the system will just pop up questions at you. Or if you want to do it, if you scroll down way left-hand corner, this little square, it says practice, then you can pop up the questions and notice on the bar at the bottom here, it says 42 items left. Guess how many questions you have to do? Um, so reading the book is not just reading the book. It has built-in quiz, like reading quiz. And it's the whole point is just to get you to engage with the content, test that you understand the ideas and whether or not you realize you understand the ideas. So you need to do all of that to get full credit. And the system does track it. If you don't answer all the questions, it tells us and you won't get all the credit. So please make sure you do that. Okay, so going back to due date 3. When the readings, you have to do one or the other. And just want to say for those of you who've never studied film before, if for some reason, mise en scène, a lot of stuff in that chapter. Also, the next chapter, cinematography, a lot of stuff. If it's overwhelming, you might want to take the quiz just as a way to continue to test yourself. And all of the quizzes, or most, I shouldn't say all, most of the quizzes have video material to help with the quizzes, and sometimes that's useful too. It's one thing, to be talking about film and just text or showing images, but the videos actually help. So again, potentially worth going in and doing the quiz. And as long as you've read this and completed it, you can do the quiz and completely bomb it. We don't care. So all that in mind. Now, the power of process assignments. Those are the ones where you go in and read and annotate and take notes on top of the reading. That I do want to quickly talk about because we've had some techno issues with it. Again, I have to preview. Okay, so I already did this video once and had a little error. Oops. The main thing I want to remind you on the power of process. 1, make sure you do all of the steps because you won't get to this point. Click if you're done here for my process reflection, and you need to do that. However, notice these 3 on this particular one, it says optional. If you just click on them and then click save without filling it out, it'll allow you to advance, which means you can do that for all of them. But please note that the TAs and I, when I grade, we look that you're engaging with the material, especially these ones that are asking you to connect material. So in this case, you're connecting stuff that you read from the textbook to Jekyll and Hyde. Later, you'll be reading more theoretical work about adaptation, and you'll be asked to connect it to Jekyll and Hyde or connect it to the text that you're going to be studying. And we specifically look for those. And if you don't do those, you will not get full credit. So anyways, once you've done the circle, the wheel, click on My Process Reflection, type in your reflection, click Save. This is the most important thing. If you don't scroll to the bottom and click this final submit, there we go, past it. Click this final blue submit button, it won't submit. We won't get it, we can't grade it. So that's problem number 1, that if you don't submit this, we can't see it. Now, there's also been problem number 2, which is the gradebook. So now that some of you have figured out this is how I submit it, you're like, wait a minute, it instantly shows 0. Now, The quiz and the reading, those show the grades immediately. Even though we may not have moved them over, you can still see them in places. Folks, the power process readings, um, those have to be graded by humans. However, it once you submit it, it automatically pushes a 0 to the grade book over here. So here's the interesting thing. And I'll show a screen in a second to show this. If you think you've done the power of process, the reading and note taking assignment, and you go to the matching gradebook line over here, and it shows nothing. It doesn't even show a 0. It just shows a line. That means you didn't submit it. If you did it and it shows a 0, that means you submitted it. We haven't graded it yet. Once there's some number in there, that means we've graded it. And generally speaking, if you get full points, you just see the full points, thumbs up. And if for some reason you don't get full points, there should be a comment in there explaining why you didn't earn full points and what you need to do to revise and resubmit for full points. Okay, so let me show you vaguely kind of, again, it becomes this difficult thing that I can only show you so much because I have different screens, but I'm hitting pause. Let me pull up the grade book. Let me block out names, and then I'll talk through this again so you can kind of see what's going on. Okay, I'm back. And some of the pages whited out because I don't want to show each other's work. So notice that at the top of this column that's got a bunch of red spots in it, or light pink, orange, it's due date 2, homework 5, read and annotate chapters 5.8 or 5 through 8 of Jekyll and Hyde. That is the assignment that you were asked to do in Power Process. Now notice there's a bunch of 0's, and then there's some that just have these dashes. That's what I was explaining. So the people that these dashes are associated with, they, according to the system, so the system's Connect talks with D2L. According to D2L, or according to Connect, which then pushed to D2L, this person either hasn't done it at all, or they did it, but they didn't click that final submit button and didn't push anything over here. Now, everyone who's got the 0's, they submitted something. We just haven't graded it yet. Just so you all know, Monday afternoons is when the TAs and I meet to divide up who's going to grade what. So you submit things on Saturday, and we're not even talking until Monday to figure out what we're grading. Again, that's why in the syllabus it said give us up to a week, because we're doing other things as well. I teach, or I actually have administrative labor. They're both graduate students. They have their own coursework to do. So like you, this is one of many things. So don't freak the 0 until if you know you submitted, don't freak the 0 until you know we've graded it. I will always post an announcement that says, hey, in the world, according to Shelley and the TAs, we've graded due date number X. Go back and check and make sure everything aligns. So wait for that. Make sure that post before you freak out going like, I did this. Why did I get 0's? Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Now, pausing. Okay, so there's 3 major things I wanted to talk about in today's announcement. 1, the not stressing, catch up through this Saturday, due day 3. The 2, the main thing kind of about power of process, making sure you click the button and being patient. It's human graded, so it takes time. 3, the project number 1 assignment prompt is posted. Whee! Okay, this is where it gets confusing for folks. Required text for this class. 1, you need to purchase the digital book and stuff, and that's the inclusive access thing through the bookstore. As long as you don't opt out, you have it. 2, Jekyll and Hyde. I gave you digital access. It's a book that's out of copyright. It's everywhere. 3, a bunch of different versions of Jekyll and Hyde. Guess what? When I'm asking you to watch them, like the cartoons with due date 2, you will get links to copies of them. And here, let me give you a precursor to due date 4. In due date 4, due date 4 and due date 5, you're going to select different versions of Jekyll and Hyde to watch. Here's a list of 10 different versions. And notice they all have links. Some of them the library has, some of them are out on YouTube and other places. And again, they're all there and you'll be able to find them. So again, you didn't have to pay for those. Now, back to project number 1. Let's click out to the prompt. Project number 1, you're going to be analyzing the adaptation of a book to a film. And I use the term book loosely. You could choose to do on the list or some graphic novels. There's even a kid's book on the list. But you're going to do a comparison, basically. Compare and contrast a book and a film. Now, here's the thing. You're going to pick the pairing. And back in D2L, I made the link from here. I'm going to show you how to always get to all of this. Over here on the left, we now have something that says course projects. There's the text pairing for the list. There's the project 1 assignment prompt. So this is always here. Now let's go look at the text pairing. Basically, here are the options that you have for picking your text and film pairing. This first list is a bunch of things that basically both the text and the film are freely available to you. You don't have to purchase by anything. Voila. The next batch, the film is available. So basically all of these, the library gave you access to. And if you come back up here, course projects, you'll notice there's a subpage that says film stream from library. Those are all pages where I've dropped in the like YouTube box, if you will, that's not YouTube, of all of these films. So again, so say you want to do Sin City. Actually, Sin City is a bad example. Say you want to do Romeo and Juliet. Romeo and Juliet, you can get the play, no problem. I mean, it's Shakespeare, it's out of copyright. You can go find a version of it. And then here, the particular, and I will say this is the only version of Romeo and Juliet you're allowed to do for this class because it's an action genre class. That's the action one. Same thing with Frankenstein. So you could find a copy of Frankenstein. Here's the film. Those are easy though. Those are actually I think those are both examples of free. Total Recall. Yeah, there we go. So Total Recall is one that if you want to do this one, it's based on the short story We Can Remember It For You Wholesale by Philip K. Dick. You're responsible for going and finding that. Notice I said short story though. And then here's the film. The film's available. Let's go back to our list. Then it is interesting. The library has a digital copy of World War Z that multiple people can check out. So in this instance, if you really want to do World War Z, the book is available, but you have to track down the film. I haven't looked to see if it's on Netflix or Hulu or anything like that, or Amazon Prime. I wouldn't be surprised. And then this last list is a bunch of films that the TAs and I have pre-vetted and said, hey, these are ones that we think kind of fit loosely into the category of action, thriller, suspense, and that we've read both the text and watched the film, and we're cool with you picking. So this is your list. You pick one. You pick one pairing, I should say. You pick one pairing. You will be analyzing that pairing for both Project 1 and Project 2. So choose wisely. Choose something you like. A couple things I do want to notice though, that Sin City, if you choose to do Sin City, you're responsible for getting, there's actually 3 separate graphic novels. Similarly, if you do Scott Pilgrim, you're responsible for getting volumes 1 through 6 because the film covers all of those volumes. So yeah, if you do, again, follow this. Now, I will say, if we go back to due date 3, what you're responsible for the end of this week is select your text pair. And you either pick from that selection, or if you want, you can propose another text and film pairing. But just keep in mind, 1, it needs to be something that at least is tangentially related to action genre. And 2, here's the bigger thing. Ultimately, the TAs or I have to agree that if we haven't already read and watched it, that we're willing to read and watch it. And at that point, just please acknowledge you're at our discretion of whether or not that's something we're willing and able to do. Also, if you choose to propose something, please note for homework number 6, you need to do double the work. You need to, the listing, the post says, tell what's set and then briefly write about it a little bit. If you propose something, you have to do that for both what you're proposing and then also have a backup from the list. That way you've already decided if we say no. I'm not blatantly saying, actually, I do want to say last year, I want to say probably at least 2/3 of the proposals we said yes to. I mean, granted, that was a different set of TAs, but so don't think that's like, oh, I can't propose because they'll definitely say no. No, I'm not saying that. Like, actually, if you notice, oh, I didn't do it on that. Haha, I should have. The assignment prompt, the Lord of the Rings is the image that I put associated with it. The Lord of the Rings is not on the proposed list. If you propose that, I could probably say right now you're likely to get a yes because on some level it would just boil down to me going like, I haven't read it in a really long time. Am I interested in rereading it? Probably yes. Um, if that makes sense. So don't feel like you can't propose. Just know that you do not get angry with us if we say no because we too have lots of other things on our docket for this term. I'm going to stop rambling. It's been 20 minutes. Hopefully, again, you know how to fast forward and make this go really, really fast, and I'll be a squeaky, squeaky high voice. Look forward to more announcements. I'm probably going to write them for the rest of the week. And thank you for all your hard work.